And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with another episode of the Doing All Right podcast here. Well, did you have something before I get started?
No, I was sitting there. I wanted you to, like, just in the first minute or so,
okay,
recap what your order was at the draft show dinner. Just rehash what your order was at the draft show dinner.
Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, this is something I had thought of for a long time. I studied the menu, okay, and I talked to various people in my life. Brian Broaddus was one of them, and I was conflicted because I didn't want to look like a poor. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to walk up to D Lincoln and look like I hadn't eaten 10 days.
Which you said you you fasted a little bit before you got there, right?
Brian, I worked out that morning. I fasted. I drank water and electrolytes all day. I ain't want to look like I hadn't eaten 10 days, Brian. You know what I'm talking about? But I studied the menu for 3 or 4 days. I watched a bunch of TikToks to see what it all looks like, and I was sold. Brian Broaddus says, look, bro, Jerry Jones signing off on it. Do your thing.
He's signing off.
Do your thing. I don't want to look like I ain't ate, Brian. I said, fine. Any other time, like if I was paying or if Brian was paying, I may have gotten a steak in the side and I would have left it there.
Sure.
But since Jerry Jones is paying.
You knew he needed money for Dak and for...
Dak will get his. Dak will little Dak's money ain't nothing hitting on what this is. So the first thing I did, Brian, Derek ordered some little sides and appetizers for the table. If he didn't, I was because I saw the crab cakes on there. I was gonna hit him up. Right. But my own personal order, man, Brian, the crab cakes with the etouffee. But my own personal order, Brian, I got a $600 8-ounce Wagyu steak, Kobe strip, and it was a bad boy. Yeah. I remember Brian saying, hey, man, look, get what you want. If you get a lobster, get 2 of them. Yeah. I asked the waiter, I say, sir, should I get 2 lobsters? He said, no, you ain't got to get 2 lobsters, but you can get the big one. Yeah. Bring me the big one. Okay. Yeah. I saw the scallops on there. Yeah. But the scallops come with some risotto, you know what I mean? With the lobster risotto.
You were trying to get the scallops a la carte.
I just wanted the scallops. But they said, well, sir, the scallops come with the lobster risotto. Would you like that as well? I say, yeah, put it on there. Yeah. Put it on there. Go ahead. Put it on there. As far as my sides, chorizo cream corn, it was for the table, but it was my sides.
It ended up on your plate.
It was my sides. The mashed potatoes was for the table. Yeah. It's my sides, Brian. And somebody else ordered fried rice. I said, give me some of that too.
That was Derek Eagleton. Yeah, Derek knows about the fried rice.
The fried rice bust. And I said, give me some of that fried rice too. And the waiter went back over my order. He said, so, sir, you want the this and the this and the this and the this and the this? I say, yeah, go ahead. And Kyle Young was looking at me like, hey, look, if you need help, we can share. If I don't need no damn help, Kyle Yomas. The food comes out. Everybody's having a good time. Mine came out last.
Whose plate got there last?
Look, they brought me a little bitty plate that I thought was mine, but that was Wolchuk's plate.
Wolchuk's plate. Yeah.
Somebody said, "I'm sorry, sir, this ain't your plate." I'm like, "Yeah, you damn right. Yeah, take this over there." They took it, and they gave it to Wolchuk. Yeah. Then they brought my big ass plate out last. Yeah, because you was looking around like, hey man, you didn't get your food. Where your food at? Oh, they bring it, and it took 2 people to bring it out last, Brian Broaddus. And man, I destroyed the plate.
You did. Congratulations.
I beat the hell out of it. It was fantastic.
And got some sides. Actually got some other sides.
I got some more sides. I savored everything, bro. So I ain't just go through it. I savored the flavor. The waiter walked back up to me. He kind of had like an Australian English accent. Sir, I must say, I was a bit skeptical when I placed your order. But sir, I must apologize. I was absolutely wrong. Yeah. I said, you know what? We're all wrong sometimes, player.
We're all wrong.
We all wrong sometimes, player.
Well, hey, man, I tell you what, I was so proud of the way you ordered.
Yeah.
I really was. When you go that Wagyu was $600, you didn't even flinch. You didn't even flinch.
I have the 8 ounce. Look, the 8 ounce.
You got the biggest one.
Because they got the 4 ounce for $300.
Small, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like give me the 8. And look, even the 8 ounce ain't but that big, but it's Wagyu. You know what I'm saying? What I say?
Yeah.
Give me the 8 ounce.
Bring it on.
So I'm sure
Good for you.
I'm sure mine alone was like $1,000 by itself.
I think you. When Derek got the bill, I usually like to look at his reaction.
Yeah,
he didn't even flinch.
You should.
He turned it in. No, whatever, But hey, seriously, it was great. It was an honor to sit next to you and watch you eat and like entertain the group.
Yeah,
you do a great job of entertaining everybody. So
appreciate you.
And I'm going to entertain you today because I went to some training camp. I went to mini camp practice.
You went to super OTAs is what I call them, Brian Brothers. But sure,
super OTAs.
You went to mini camp.
Super OTAs. Yeah, I got it. I got your super OTAs covered.
Got,
Saw
Brian?
some things. What
you got, Brian, bro? Let me find a pen. Let me you seen the fancy fountain, Brian, bro? All right, well, let's see what
I saw that last night firsthand. It's very fancy. I wouldn't throw that in a draft room. I wouldn't throw that one in a draft room.
No.
That's the kind they signed the Declaration of Independence with. One of those kind of pins.
How was my suit, Brian Broaddus?
Oh man, you did great.
People in the comments wanted to know how was my suit. I think
No, your suit was excellent. Yeah, bro, you were on point. For somebody who ate $1,000 meal last night, you were on point. And by the way, you didn't tell people about the Voodoo Smoke whiskey you were drinking.
So Chris Beam always gets the old fashioned, but it comes in a box. It comes smoky, and they love smoking the aesthetics up in there.
They love smoke.
And Beam was like, Voch, you should get one. I've been a regular Natchez man my whole life, Brian Broaddus. The problem with the whiskey old fashioned is I love the smell of the hickory that they smoked it with.
Yeah. It's
high quality liquor, so it went down smooth and the shit was delicious. Bring me 3.
Bachi, I looked over at you. You like swirl that ice, and you're like, "Where's that guy with that Voodoo Smoke stuff?"
I got 3, Brian Broaddus. Jerry Jones said get 3. Yeah. I got 3,
You did. No, you did. Hey, you did. You look great, bro. Seriously.
What are you doing?
Good look. Good look.
I can't zoom in on that joint no more than this.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Brian, let's get us some football, man. People about to tap out on us, man. People about to tap out.
Yeah, I know. I hope not.
No. They're fine, Brian. Some people love the behind the scenes stuff.
Oh no, I'm gonna get the comments. I'll be sitting there reading the comments tomorrow. Football started at 7:31.
Good. But everybody else is gonna enjoy the story, Brian. But mini camp happened today, Brian Broaddus, please.
It did, man. Micah Parsons kind of got a little competitive today. Okay. Micah Parsons not jumping in to team drills, a 7-on-7 or a team period like that. Micah Parsons comes out, defensive line working to my right. Aisha Morrison and I sitting there watching practice. It was good to see her again. And we're watching, and defensive line, they're kind of doing these competitive drills, whether with the bags and who can get off the ball the quickest to get to the bag. 2 bags, line up, hand down, snap, boom, explode, get to the bags. Micah Parsons going up against Sam Williams. Sam Williams, no brace. Okay. I was told, hey, he's going to probably wear a brace for his position, but no brace today. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. A little competitive period. Both line up. Sam Williams beats him off the ball. Sam Williams, good explosiveness, gets, both. It's like a drag race. It's like these drag race. And then Micah kind of, whoa, circle back. Yeah, pushing guys out of the way to get back to Sam. Sam's like,
Brian, do you kind of get the vibe that deep down inside Michael wants to be there, but the agent, is advising him? You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. I talk to people. I haven't talked to David Mulugeta, but I know people that have connections with David Mulugeta. I would love to talk to David Mulugeta one day. I do know people on the Cowboys side of things, and I'm not sticking up for the guys and gals over on the Cowboys side. I'm just going to tell you that I was told early in the process they've had discussions with David Mulugeta. early in the process. They had discussions with David Mulugheta about what needs to be done. Yeah. Have they had discussions with David Mulugheta recently? No, they have not. Yeah. So talking to people, they're like, listen, I go, well, it seems like to me that maybe Mulugheta holding you up, and they're like, no, we talked, but we haven't talked, but it's a two-way street. Yeah. It's the Cowboys are looking at this as a two-way street. So yeah, it's, I know I threw something out there big last night about, going to get Von Miller if in fact this thing turns into a holdout. I hope it doesn't. I really don't hope it doesn't. Yeah. But Micah is, to answer your question, I think Micah wants to be out there practicing with his guys. Yeah. I think he likes the energy of practice. I'll tell you what, Voch, it's like a Las Vegas pool party out there. Mm-hmm. And I mean this in a respectful way. I don't mean the music is so loud. Like Aisha and I are like yelling at each other about, did you see that? Yeah, you see that? that kind of thing. And, and it is a, they're guys bouncing around and a lot of energy, coach energy, but it's loud and it's out there and it's, and I just say, I hope at the bottom line, it works for Schottenheimer. Yeah. I hope these guys play hard. I hope Micah gets signed. I hope all these things, but I can see why guys are talking about having fun again. Sure. Because it really is opposite of what you would have a Jason Garrett practice or what you would have even a Mike McCarthy practice. I mean, and it's getting used to be the old crusty guy getting used to a loud music playing during football practice. Sure. That's something that's completely been new to me, for all these years. But I liked Micah wanting to get in there and be competitive. I hope that David Mulugheta and Stephen Jones talk here before long. I don't want this thing, and you and I were on the break today. Yes, sir. And good conversations with Derek and Ambar and going back and forth and kind of talking about that and where we really thought and is it a good thing, bad thing? Please check out the break after you watch our show and just kind of get a little bit of an idea what we were talking about. But this needs to be done before we get to camp. This does not need to be Micah Parsons doing a sit-in. And now every time we look up, it's day 1, day 2, day 3, we don't need that. No, Brian Schottenheimer in his first training camp with the Dallas Cowboys does not need that to happen. Sure. This thing needs to be Micah Parsons inked in, ready to go, ready to work with Matt Eberflus, ready to be with Ezeraku and Fowler, Fowler had a really, really good day today. He was the thing about Fowler, and you could see he's an explosive player. Sure. Ezeraku, explosive player. Now, people are saying, well, Brian, Ezeraku around Cornelius, okay. I'm just telling you, the guy rushed the passer. That's I'm not. I could tell you, the guy Cornelius blocked him every single time, and gosh, what a disaster that was. Sure, he didn't. Yeah, Nate Thomas, guard from last year from Louisiana, was a guard. Now he's the right tackle, running second tackle.
So, Brian, let me ask you a question. I'm going to take that bit of information and ask you this. Do you think the Cowboys are moving into a sided player as opposed to like a swing kind of thing? Because Cornelius was a guy that played right tackle, but he was drafted and they said guard, right? So maybe he's a right side player. Tyler Smith is a left side player per se, kind of, sort of. So now we're looking at Thomas, who was a right guard. Now he's a right tackle. I guess we're looking at Thomas as like a right-sided player now, as opposed to him playing right guard, left guard. He's right guard and right tackle.
Yeah, I think they're, Dakota Shepley and all those guys are getting third-team reps and stuff. And, the guys like T.J. Bass and others are kind of holding in their spots. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Ezeraku, Fowler, they were humming it pretty good off the right side. Maris Leofau comes on a blitz, gets home. There was a little bit with the offensive line today that, some good, but a couple times you got to give the defensive tip of the hat. Fowler looks good. That number 13 looks. I'm like, I'm looking down. I'm like, God, he looks coming off the football. dipping around. Ezeraku, like I said, Ezeraku is going to get he's been getting work with some of the reps because of Micah being out. He got more work with like the 2s and 3s this time around. It was no Oso Digizuwa in the middle. Okay. So that was Mozzie Smith and Solomon Thomas were playing as the defensive tackles inside. But I will say this, there were a couple of guys. Okay, here we go. It was, Elam playing on the outside. Sure. All we've kind of talked about or heard about media practice, Elam knocking the ball down. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. They try to run in the 2-minute drill. They try and run Tolbert on a vertical route with Elam, and they're just going to try and Dak's going to try and hit the home run right off the jump.
Sure.
First play of 2-minute drill. Tolbert doesn't run great.
Right.
He's not a shifty, fast, vertical type of guy, but they try to hit him on the play.
Yeah.
Elam's able to stay with him, ball too far, incomplete.
Yeah.
We circle back. So they do some different things, and I'll get into some goal line package stuff. I'll probably get in trouble for saying these things because it's scheme related, but it's what I saw. So they try and create space for Lamb and put him inside. Mm-hmm. They play him with some condensed formations, tighter formations. Yep. But this time they expand it. They expand it by taking Span forward and putting him on the outside with another receiver, and then putting Lamb inside. So they're trying to create like space for Lamb to go. So, but he draws Elam on the cover. Well, here goes Lamb vertical. Dak knows, okay, we've created space for Lamb. I'm hitting Lamb. He's my primary. Elam carries him, route, ball goes inside. Elam's in position, knocks the ball down. Aisha goes, I'll tell you what, man, that Elam cannot catch the damn football.
That's why he's a corner.
I looked at her, I go, wait, does he have this problem? He goes, he gets his hands on more passes. He struggles to catch the ball. And I'm like, oh, I thought he was just knocking the ball down.
He just can't catch.
He just can't catch. He just can't catch. So Aisha was educating me on that. She goes, I've been watching these practices. He's had 2 or 3 times to catch football. And he had. But the encouraging thing to me was, Tolbert, vertical route. Lamb, specialty, create route, create separate, or try and create width to run through. Elam's there to make the play. So encouraging.
So Brian, let me ask you this.
Oh, and by the way, real quick, if I can, before I forget, me, I'll forget things.
Hell yeah.
Hall, Keeman Hall,
okay.
nickel today with the Unos, number 43. He was playing the nickel. They played some dime stuff today with Izzy Wakwamu playing as a dime linebacker, like he was down in the box. So they took my linebacker. They took my linebacker Sanborn off the field, put Izzy in at dime linebacker. So he was carrying tight ends. Like he was up there like Ferguson. Ferguson had a decent day. Ferguson back running with the run ones. Everybody's like freaking out, like, oh, wait, this Van Ford's getting all the work. No, Ferguson's he's back in the mix. So, and he had a couple of good seam routes where Dak was able to hit him pretty good. But Hall was playing the nickel today for your Dallas Cowboys that way.
Brian, let me ask you a question. A couple questions.
Sure. Dime. I talked about the dime. Okay, yeah, good on that dime.
A couple questions, Brian. I asked you this on the break, but sometimes we got to come back here and really dive into the thought.
Yeah.
How good does Elam have to be for us to not worry about it? I think a lot of people are worried about his terrible game that he had versus Kansas City. Everybody's got a game that's kind of weird like that. But for the most part, I haven't heard of Kaiir Elam being like a bad player. I think change of scenery is going to matter. I think a really good pass rush in Dallas will help, Brian. And all we hearing is Kyrie Elam's making plays now is OTAs and super OTAs. But at least it's off to a better start than we expected. And you can imagine that the Cowboys think highly enough of him because they traded a pick that they like to go get him, Brian. How good does Elam have to be for us to feel good about him playing corner?
I think to me, if Elam, you could say what you want about the Tolbert coverage. Fine. The fact that he's able to stay with one of the top 5 receivers in the National Football, and maybe they run the route 4 other times, and CD finds a way to get open, and it's a big play.
Yeah.
I was encouraged by what I saw today from Elam. Now, he might get in the game and be an absolute bag of ass. It might just be, no. But I was encouraged by the way that he was able on a scheme-specific offensive play, who they were trying to take advantage of. Whoever covered Lamb in the slot was going to be one-on-one.
Yeah.
They created the play to try and get him the ball. And Dak tried to throw it to him, and Elam should have had an interception. So how good? Just be to the point where it's not 5 catches for 115 yards or 5 catches for 80 yards. Give me, if it's 2 catches for 30 yards or 18 yards, that would be great, I guess. But you just don't need him to be a liability.
This is why it's important, Brian, bro. This is why I asked, right? Because
they're going to go after him if he's playing. Sure. They're going after him because nobody wants to throw the ball bland.
Yeah. The reason why I'm asking is because I just want to, because we're not trying to just hold on to our shit all season. Like, all right, man, what we going to do with Revel? All right, man, is Diggs back yet? Like, I just want to know.
Yeah.
Elam being able to play all year for you and he's not like an Anthony Brown. What's our guy last year we got from the Vikings that we sick of? We're trying to get rid of right now. The corner. Booth. Like, as long as he's not like an Andrew Booth, you know what I mean? Like, if he's a little better than that, I think he's fine. I think we're looking for, and I say we, not like me and you, but we like them, are looking for a lot of reasons to try to like bury him already. Like, hey, go and get 2 or 3 corners and bring them up in here. Yeah, I think if you just add Gilmore, I think if you just add Gilmore and play with Elam, Bland in the slot, I think that's a solid core of cornerbacks for you. So now you're not having to rush Revel too much. And I saw somewhere where Diggs said he's gonna be ready week 1. I think that's nonsense, man. Sit that dude down. Like, he ain't gonna be ready on that week 1 and get hurt again or look bad because he's rushing out there. I think Elam can be good enough to just be cool enough to get us to the next level. He's not stopping you from drafting anybody.
Parcells used to call it hold the fort guy. Hold the fort. Like you're in the back. Just hold the fort. Don't give up the fort.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I hope. I really do hope that the fact that the Buffalo coaches didn't want to coach this guy, that he's coming here with the thought. I know on my board it was a 2nd round player.
I had a 2 on him. I had a 2.
Yeah, folks, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass here. I'm just saying, if he could just hold the fort until the reinforcements come or they figure some things out. Just don't be the guy that every week it's the ball's going there, the ball's going there, the ball's going there, and then they can't do anything about it. Don't be that guy. But I had to see it with my own eyes. But they did. They tried to take a route. They tried to create a route, a one-on-one matchup with CD. Whoever was going to be in the slot was going to pick him up.
Yeah.
And it happened to be Elam, and he happened to make the play.
Brian, I don't think Keemon Hall playing nickel is something that we should just pass along like it's not important.
I didn't expect that one.
I think it's important, Brian Bryce, because I tell you what, if something happened to Bland, you ain't got no nickels.
Yeah.
Something happened to Bland. You ain't got no nickels.
Well,
plus I think
Izzy. It's Izzy. You can put Izzy in there, and we've seen Izzy play one time. But
Brian, when somebody
Izzy was in the dime, they didn't play. They played Izzy on the outside today. They didn't play him inside.
When somebody got 5 positions, they don't have one, Brian.
That's the truth.
Izzy a damn safety, a nickel corner, an outside guy, and he's a dime linebacker now.
Dime linebacker now.
You know what that sound like, Brian? When you came on this show and said, "Hey, yo, Voch, Josh Ball playing guard now." That's the same thing, Brian. In my mind,
yeah.
Keymon Hall plays nickel. He is a nickel corner. And I mean, look, common sense says if I'm Eberflus, if my last name Eberflus, Bland may not always be in the nickel this whole season. If we play against the Eagles and they slot receive ain't all that good, but they got AJ and Devontae out there, Bland may play some outside that game.
Yeah.
Week 2, they got a wide receiver that can move around. I can see Bland playing some nickel then. You play against the Lions and St. Brown in the nickel, Bland will play some nickel then. Mm-hmm. I think the Cowboys have to get ready for the idea that Bland just ain't playing nickel that day. And Keymon Hall is the only one left on the roster that naturally does that. Kalen Carson can play, but he's an outside guy. Keymon Hall, him playing nickel today with the ones, I think that's worth looking at, Brian.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things because, like I say, Aisha looked at me and she goes, Hall's playing nickel. And I looked over, I'm like, God dang, he sure is. You know? And I was like looking, okay, where's Butler? And, he's not ready and stuff. I mean, they really like Butler a lot, but there's guys that just aren't ready. I mean, there are guys that just aren't ready to go right now. And so, that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, maybe it's going to be one of these things where these guys do, as the more they practice, the more they get better, the more reliable, the more confident we are in their ability and stuff like that. But right now, I mean, it's you mentioned about going to getting Gilmore.
Yeah.
That seems, there's corners out there, I think I said this. I don't know if I said it on the break or I said it on. I said it on the break. I said the break that I think that the cornerback position might be very similar to what we saw D-line last year. Yeah. That you just keep bringing guys. You keep bringing guys until you find the combination of the guys you kind of like. Yeah. I think that's going to be the case. Can I say something else that happened? I saw on the goal line talking about. I'll switch it.
Okay.
To switch it to Lamb and to Pickens.
Okay.
Lamb and Pickens together, goal line, 7-yard line kind of a thing.
Okay. Playing
together, watching the type of routes that were being run with the combinations. It was Lamb under and inside, Pickens up and to the corner. They were working on, when they were doing special teams, I was watching Dak and the quarterbacks work with Lamb and Pickens on these routes.
Well, if you think about how it's going to look offensively, CD's going to be the down under guy and Pickens is going to be the depth guy anyway.
The red zone. Yeah, I'm talking about the red zone.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing with Pickens, we all know this, ball up, ball to the corner, contort, catch, one hand, whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
But he was a up corner.
Yeah.
Up corner. Lamb up, inside, pivot, outside, or pivot outside all the way back inside. Mm-hmm. So when they were running routes, it was never Lamb to the corner and Pickens underneath. They were working the opposite that way.
Okay.
So that was something I noticed. The span forward stuff.
Real fast, Brian. Real fast. So the Pickens play, right? Is that the Brandon Cooks play that he was always running? Like they'll line up there. Somebody will be down under, like they run the smash, type thing, and Cooks will be wide open in the back of the end zone. That's kind of what that was.
Yeah, it was his route was up, nod. Like say they were playing it off the right side of the formation. It was up, nod, and then corner. Okay. And Dak was working on getting the ball to that back pylon.
Okay.
And letting him just be a go up and get it, come down, go up and get it, come down kind of a guy.
That's gonna be money. Yeah, was they hitting it? Like was they?
Oh yeah, but there was no coverage.
Okay.
No coverage.
Okay.
But they were practicing the coming off the ball and then Lamb doing his pivots and then Pickens coming off that to get into the back corner.
Okay. Sorry for cutting you off, but you was talking about Brevin Spanford. What do you do?
Yeah, no, see, I know that Bobby Belt had tweeted out, or we talked about on 105.3 about no Ferguson and stuff like that. I do feel like this is where when you're watching Spanford, to me, it's just about trying to get more comfortable catching the football. He did have a touchdown on a seam route when he was going up against, I think, Sanborn. I think I read that. Yeah. And then the next play, they ran a 2-point play where our guy Sanders caught the 2-point play for the win. But that's where Spanford, when you watch him, they were running these drills with the bags. And so the bags are these tall, like 6-foot bags, and the bags have pads sticking out like arms. So they're trying to work the tight ends curling underneath the bags, and then getting in position to catch the ball. And they were really, really trying to work hard with Spanford on this. I mean, Schoonmaker looked natural. Ferguson looked natural. Everybody looked somewhat natural catching the ball. And Spanford was, I've talked about him, just a little bit of a struggle. There was one time the ball was a little wide. He tried a one-hand catch. It clanged him.
Yeah.
He just fell on the ground. But then, when they got into the field, they were able to, he was able to make some catches that way. He's just got to learn better hand position.
Sure.
And I know they're working hard on that to try and get him. He's not the swiftest of the tight ends they got.
Yeah.
He's not that go upfield and sell outside, then curl back underneath and present yourself. That's not his cup of tea.
Yeah.
But they ran a lot of 13 personnel stuff, and it's Ferguson, Schoonmaker, and Spanford. So they were practicing getting him going.
If you were paying attention, I'm sure you were. Do you have any notes on number 4, number 10, and whatever the hell number Greer is wearing? One thing that I want the audience and me and you to kind of keep eyes on is I think Greer and Milton can be a serious camp conversation. If Greer is just a little more efficient, maybe not the arm talent, but he's not throwing the ball in harm's way, and Milton can connect on a 60-yarder but miss a slant or whatever, right? I think that's gonna go in. That's gonna go into the conversation. Nobody's gonna push Dak, of course, but I do think quarterback 2 is a real life conversation for us.
There was more today of the movement of the pocket. The waggles and the boots. It was hard play sell, then slant or not slant, drag.
Yeah,
throw it to him, kind of throw it to the back.
How did Dak look running? How did Dak look rolling out?
It was there was nothing like he looked like he was laboring or anything like that. The fact that they're trying to do these things tells me that they're confident that Dak can handle it, that's not going to be a problem. Milton can whistle it. Sure. I mean, you watch him throw the ball, he can whistle it. And so I was like, I found myself though today, I found myself watching Booker a lot just because we haven't talked. I mean, I know we talked about him in our little thing, but I just wanted with my own eyes. Him and Smith and Beebe, there was none of that in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Everything was Leofau, Fowler.
Outside.
Yeah. Ezaraku. I mean, it was right side, here we come kind of a thing. Down inside, it was
good.
It wasn't happening, man. It was not happening. And that Booker, he one time, God, he's just an athlete. They throw the ball and it's a cover. Lineman, it's like throw it and then cover.
Yeah.
Like him just running downfield. The body just getting down the field and finding a block in space.
Yeah.
And, he can't hit anybody because there ain't no pads downfield, but his ability just to like set and they're hold it, balls out. Now they're going. God.
I'm so excited about Booker. I'm so excited. Mm-hmm. I'm super excited.
I'll tell you what, I enjoyed watching him today. I was interested in Nate Thomas though. Nate Thomas was a afterthought. Nate Thomas gets hurt when Oxnard last year, and he's gone. We don't talk about Nate Thomas.
Yeah,
but here he is running with the twos at right tackle.
So that's Walesko and Hydenergy. I guess that's what. I guess that's the third team then.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome Richards was the left.
Yeah.
Awesome was the Richards, left tackle with the twos. He was the left tackle with the twos. But like Hoffman, those guys were all running with the twos. Shipley with the threes. That kind of group. Like I say, Thomas. Well, let's go. Still, yeah, Charles. There was no who didn't practice. Who did I not see today? I think they were all there. I think I got that right. But yeah, it was they for the most part they did a good job. Oh, well, I had this thought too. It just popped into my head. Deuce Vaughn, for the Deuce Vaughn fans out there.
Okay.
Deuce Vaughn getting work with the twos today ahead of Blue.
Some old veteran stuff going on.
Yeah.
Blue trying to learn the plays, maybe.
I'll tell you, Blue, you could tell. They put CD in the backfield, toss.
Yeah.
And they put our little wide receiver
Turpin
in the backfield. Straight friggin' handoff like we saw last year.
Yeah.
Remember him lining up I formation? Dak carries in the ball off left tackle. Here they go, man. He's 6 yards before he gets touched. But they were running him in the backfield and running CD in the backfield, using him like on the toss sweep, CD on the toss sweep stuff. Turpin was just the straight eye back downhill player is what he was. They tossed him a couple, but it was the other one he got was going downhill, going to his left. So but they were trying to get CD more involved in some of those things. I think they were probably working on that crack toss play. They could put their big old body wide receivers out there.
Mingo and them
guys like Mingo, and those guys, and just crack that edge.
Yeah,
and then get
outside,
get linemen out front. Yeah.
Well, Brian Broaddus, you covered this thing like it was a damn playoff game, man. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to you.
I mean, I can. We had David Hellman on 105.3 The Fan today. They always reminded me. David Hellman was always, bro, you can make a walkthrough practice look like the Super Bowl. And I'm I'm just observations, folks.
Yeah.
Where guys are lining up and how but they are very, very talking to people over there. They are very excited about Izaraku. Very excited about that. I think they stole them one there.
Okay.
I really do.
I agree.
think they stole them one.
I agree.
I think they stole one.
You have done well, Brian Broaddus. Thank you very much, sir. Sawadi Cop. Ladies and gentlemen, you have any comments? We read them. We up in the morning. You know what I mean? I'll be boxing. Brian might be walking or something, but we will read your comments at 5:00 in the morning. So please put them down there. No show tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, no show. I got to be as a godparent.
Yep.
I have to be in South Carolina for Thursday night, Friday night. So I will be back with you on Monday. How about that?
I'll be dropping content because that's what I do. You know what I mean? I've been a YouTuber for years. You know what I mean? So I'll be dropping content, but Doing All Right will be back Monday.
We'll be back Monday, yeah.
And we're gonna run it like that, Brian. Now the Cowboys going on break soon, so we will keep going. We're gonna find topics.
I'll find. I think you and I could find content on things we need to do, and then when we feel like we need a couple of days off, we'll take a couple of days off. Okay. Happy 4th of July or something like that. One of those things.
4th of July.
You've already told me last night. You already told me last night we're not working Christmas. You already told me that. Brian, I'm working Christmas.
This is my rule. This is my rule, Brian.
But your Voch is telling me, he's like,
Brian,
not just presents.
Brian, if the banks are closed, I am too. So 4th of July, Juneteenth, It ain't happening. it ain't happening, especially Juneteenth. But all the other holidays, we can boogie, Brian, bro. We're gonna get some work in.
I got you. We will figure out. I'll tell you what, we got some guests coming up too. I know I asked Brad Sham to come on one night, and he will absolutely do that. So the voice of the Cowboys is going to make an appearance here. So maybe we'll grab a few more guests and have some good conversations. Always the questions and things like that. So keep in mind. And then we'll go from there.
Sounds good. They can't lie and say they working because the Cowboys going on break. So we'll definitely get some guests on here. All right. Y'all follow me at VOCHLONBARDI. And Brian Broaddus is still going to be posting updates for Crown Global Media. So y'all follow him just to make sure that you're updated on everything. All right. Y'all hold it down until next time. We love you to pieces. Crown.